There aren't many comics that explore the lives and adventures of Ellen Ripley's ancestors, right? But Alien's Earth Angel does that when it brings us a man named Daniel Ripley, who finds himself face to face with a Xenomorph Queen, and in this video, that's exactly what we're going to explore. The entire comic and the queen that was featured in it. A queen with big beady eye-like protrusions because of the host she was born from, and no, she wasn't implanted inside a human. But before we begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Those 2 small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos in the future. And now, let's begin. It was a fine evening in an American suburb, and 2 young bloods, Luann and Matthew Weber, were hanging out as they came across a strange sight. Something fell from the sky and crashed nearby. As is the case with humans, curiosity piqued, and Matt was a particularly curious young boy. Running through the woods and the bushes, Matt finally reached the crashed site, only to find this huge alien spacecraft with smoke rising in the backdrop. He ran as fast as he could over the ridge, and Luann followed him. Matt was excited about finding this flying saucer and wanted to see if there was anyone inside. Reckless? Yeah, totally. And despite Luann warning him, he continued his risky little exploration. The craft was on fire, but the kids found an open hatch and went inside, only to come face to face with an alien. No, not a xenomorph, just a humanoid alien species. Matt explains that this guy had to be the pilot, while Luann points out that he wasn't even a human. Without a care in the world or a thought to the consequences of their actions, the young couple pulls the alien pilot out of his craft, and had they been a few minutes late, they would have gone down along with the pilot because the entire ship exploded into a giant ball of all things fire and smoke. The kids concluded that it seemed as if the explosion was intentional, as if it was a way to ensure that no one found any trace of it after it crashed. This is something that the Predators do, right? I mean, when they press that self-destruct button, but hey, we're exploring a Xenomorph comic, and the strange things haven't even started yet. That said, Matt notices the alien dude's face. Well, yes, he had been face-hugged, but this couple didn't know anything about that. They had no idea what they had gotten themselves into. Nevertheless, Matt and Luann bring the face-hugged alien to Dr. Daniel Ripley, who, by the way, is Ellen Ripley's ancestor. Dr. Ripley was also pretty intrigued with the discovery that Matt and Ann had made, so they put him on a table, and Daniel Ripley began his examination. By now, the facehugger had done its job and came off the alien's face when Ripley used a wooden ruler. He was quick to conclude that the facehugger wasn't the alien's real face. Since it was a matter beyond him, he decided to call Washington, but before that could be done, the alien briefly woke up but couldn't survive the chestburster leaving his body a few moments later. The creature was red because it was covered in the alien's blood, and as soon as it came out, it tried to look for a place to hide, a place it could grow into an adult xenomorph, which we know doesn't take a lot of time. The next panel brings us to Torchy's, a pub run by an old but tough nut. This was a typical suburban bar. Everyone knew everyone else, people were getting drunk, a couple was fooling around in the can, and a man who had to take a leak was forced to find a tree out in the open. But this poor man wasn't at all prepared for what was going to hit him next. You remember that chestburster that fled from Dr. Ripley's chambers, right? It had grown into a much bigger version and attacked this old man, whose name was Mickey. Mickey's friends quickly came out to look for him, but the xenomorph was powerful and strategic. You see, it's now revealed that the chestburster that came out of the alien was actually a royal chestburster, and the resultant xenomorph was, in fact, a queen. She either killed or captured many of these men, all of whom were from a biking gang. Once again, we meet Dr. Daniel Ripley, who had returned to his house and was scared to death, so much so that he asked his wife and daughter to pack their bags because they were going away to Nan's house. His wife was visibly worried because Dan seemed anxious and this wasn't like him. Furthermore, he didn't tell her the full story. It was the middle of the night, the Ripley family was on the street, but then their car came to a sudden stop. The reason? The Queen. She crashed right inside the car, and to make it worse, the car itself exploded, which meant that the Ripleys were now on foot. They ran as fast as they could, but tumbled down a slope, only to find themselves in the middle of the Queen's hive with eggs all over. However, all wasn't lost since the bikers from earlier arrived on the scene. It's now that Mickey's fate is revealed. He'd been taken by the Queen to serve as a host for her brood. The implantation was successful, and a chestburster ripped his chest and came out. There was chaos and carnage all around, but the good news was that Dr. Ripley had figured out that the xenomorphs could not survive fire. He insisted that the face-hugged bikers be torched immediately, but the bikers didn't want that to happen to their friends, and you can't really blame them. After all, these guys didn't know the real threat a xenomorph chestburster posed exposed, let alone an entire hive. As one of them tried to remove a facehugger from a fallen friend's face, the acidic blood oozed out and killed the host. This created some commotion, and Dr. Daniel Ripley used the opportunity to grab a can of gas from a bike and used it to torch the entire hive. The bikers did the rest. The following day, the military came in and found the remains of the previous day's carnage. All sorts of strange things scattered through human remains, and that's where the comic ends. Aliens Earth Angel is a fun read because it doesn't lean on xenomorphs alone. Dark Horse usually played within the hive. Acid blood, facehuggers, all that good stuff, but this one cracked the door open to other species. Over the years, the comics introduced their fair share of non-xenomorph life forms, like the lizard-like travelers in Theory of Alien Propagation, the Reapers, a reptilian predator that actually eats xenomorphs in taste, a hunting village of outsiders in Alien, a group of scientists in Incubation, and even alien monkeys in Fire and Stone. Then there are the heavyweights, that is, the predators and the engineers who need no introduction. For a long stretch, though, these experiments in non-xenobiology were mostly kept to the comics until recent novels like Out of the Shadows and Bug Hunt picked up the same threads. The story itself came from John Byrne, a name anyone into comics probably knows pretty well. He was the artist and co-plotter behind Marvel's Dark Phoenix saga in the 80s, and later the writer who helped relaunch Superman for DC in 1986. He even scripted the early issues of Hellboy for Dark Horse. Byrne's resume is stacked, but Earth Angel is his one and only trip into the Aliens universe. That alone gives the book a bit of curiosity value. It's Byrne applying his craft to a franchise he'd never returned to. As a release, Earth Angel carried some quirks of its own. It was one of only 2 Alien titles, alongside Aliens vs. Predator Booty, to first appear in Diamond Comic Distributors' previews catalog before Dark Horse published them as one-shots. The book also slipped in a fun lore connection. One of its characters turns out to be an ancestor of Ellen Ripley herself. It's also rare for a setting. Most Alien comics live in the future, but Earth Angel plants its action in Earth's past, a move usually reserved for Predator titles. Even the name nods back to the doo-wop track Earth Angel from 1954. The comic never references the song outright, but the choice of title suggests that Byrne wanted readers to pin the story to that era. It's a fascinating little trip down nostalgia lane, and we recommend it, but that's all we got for you this time, folks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, but otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.